Good evening. Welcome to another episode of The Big Picture. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about a city that is named after some running waters in the Maasai language. It is a city that is home, or rather, it is the host to a number of United Nations agencies' headquarters. It is a city that its management in recent days has been making headlines. And that city I'm talking about is Nairobi, Kanairo, or you can call it Nyairofi. And in mid-February, President William Ruto and Governor for Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, did sign a deal, or rather an 80 billion cooperation deal in the management of this city. And that is what we are going to be discussing on this episode of The Big Picture. My name is Moige William. I'm holding the fort today for Tom Mukwana, the brilliant man, who's not in today. And I'm the man in charge for today. But I'm not alone. I am with the brilliant and beautiful Justine. Justine, what say you? Thank you for welcoming me.
First of all, your introduction ilikuwa refu. Like I was worried for you. Like I just thought you were gonna keep going and
no.
just like giving Nairobi's credentials, but that was really solid.
All right, thank you so
Welcome to
much.
the show, and also, Tom, tunakumiss.
Yeah, already.
No, I told him that I'll say that, but I didn't reassure him. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure that he knows.
Yeah.
Like I'm a real.
Yeah.
I'm a real co-host.
Okay.
I was just You
are real.
Absolutely.
When him true.
Mean him true. For him, for Tom.
For Tom.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
But thank you for the warm reception.
Of course.
All right. We are not alone. Joining us today is Professor Fred Ogola. Prof,
Yes.
welcome. Good to see you once again.
Thank you very much.
How have you been?
Very well.
All
God
right.
has been good.
Yes.
Yes.
So, you have a background in matters management, science, and innovation. So you are the right man who will be helping us dissect and also engage in matters, the management of Nairobi and these 80 billion. But before we get into the nitty-gritties of today, last week a lot has been happening. Talk of United States together with Israel invading Iran, and their supreme leader is gone, but still tension is escalating. We have seen there's something before we went on air, you're talking about the G2 agreement.
So Kenya did this fancy thing in 2023, I believe,
Yeah.
where they signed a government-to-government oil deal with the Gulf states. And one of the companies that was on that deal is Saudi Aramco. And today their refinery was bombed.
Yes.
So that government explosive deal is now in our hands, and I don't know how we're going to deal with that, considering how much this will increase transport costs and like logistics are going to be very, very difficult over the next couple of weeks. So
who thought will be affected in one or the other?
No, I knew.
Yeah.
When I saw when I saw first when they were bombing the military bases, it was only a matter of time when they're going to take out the energy, because that's also like a very huge resource.
Sure.
And usually the first people to be affected are not usually the people in the other countries, the people who the governments are very, very like you've built a whole sector on energy and oil, and everyone is just hoping that this is going to be perfect forever. But when they first take out those guys, all of us are in line for a very difficult
The tension
time.
in the Middle East is really escalating so fast. Prof,
Yes.
you're a well-traveled man. I see your PhD, you did attain it in Barcelona, Spain. What do you make of this USA, Israel, and Iran issue?
Yeah. First of all, as a Kenyan who is a governance expert, we first of all look back and said, what should the Kenyan foreign policy be based on? Because you don't just speak as a Kenyan, because this is not just reacting; it's reacting from Kenyan perspective. The Kenyan foreign policy should be based on three things. One, whenever you speak as any Kenyan or head of state, you should speak in ways to preserve the peace with all your neighbors. And nowadays, your neighbor is even Iran, your neighbor.
Are you speaking in relation to the statement released by President William Ruto today? Okay.
Yeah, so peace with neighbors. Secondly, how can Kenya be prosperous even amid all this? And then lastly, how can Kenya be globally competitive? So you just talk about the issue of oil. energy. Anytime power goes up, food goes up, rent goes up, cost of living goes up, everything goes up. So just that one strike, if it affects us in terms of oil or energy, everything will change. Even how you go to work, how you come to work, how you cook. So this is something very interesting. But how is this going to affect Kenya, and how should Kenya approach this?
Yeah.
Currently, Kenya do not have an official foreign policy. That's why you see the response from the head of state is neither here nor there, because he has hosted the supreme leader in State House,
Okay.
and also he has been hosted in White House. So should he be white or should he be supreme?
Fair enough.
We don't know.
Fair enough, Prof. And also over the weekend, Africa Uncensored did publish yet another documentary, an expose in relation to EMT. Please do, if you have not watched that documentary, it is titled The Fatal Detour. Please, you can visit our social media platforms and get to see some of the work that we have published. And now, lady and gent, we can get to the business of the day. Matters Nairobi.
Yeah.
Prof,
Yes.
your background of innovation and management. I'd like us to start this conversation from this simple question. It may be simple, but maybe, I don't know. 17th of February, President William Ruto, Governor Johnson Sakaja at State House did sign an 80 billion cooperation. I mean, what do you make of this?
Yeah, first of all, as a governance expert, without bringing personalities, what is the biggest constitutional question? Why did Kenya go to get the 2010 constitution and put devolution? It was to decentralize management so that counties can be semi-autonomous. Now, the question is, by signing this agreement, is it something that they are pursuing efficiency while preserving the constitution, or it is a way on which the national government is re-centralizing back Nairobi into national government? And the other question also, if you may ask, if you want to look at this from this point of view, devolution and this thing centers around structure. What is now the structure of governance within Nairobi when the national government has taken some functions? You know, the structure when the national government had not taken the functions was very different. But now if the national government has taken over the function, is one of the CSs a CS in the county of Nairobi? Then the second question is accountability. Now, to whom are Nairobians answer? To whom is the governor answerable to? You know, the sovereign power given, donated to this, delegated to these people, both at the national level and the county level, was given by Nairobians, and they didn't think about this. So when there's nothing happening, whom do you ask? Do you ask national government, or do you ask the county government? And lastly, resources. Remember, every county has gone through a budget. A budget was passed. Money was allocated to them to do those functions. Now that the government has entered another agreement of 80 billion deal, has this been passed by Senate or National Assembly? Or two people can meet on the street and sign something, and now they want to make people go through. So for me, those are questions which we remove personalities aside and said, even if Otieno or Onyango or Kemunto or whatever was the governor, and whoever was the president, because sometimes when you bring personalities in the room, it's more of who is standing with who or who. We look at it from that way. So according to me, the questions are that this becomes very dangerous, because if you find the fact that you are elected as a governor, now you take the functions to the national government. Now the question is, when things are not working, whom do they ask?
But Prof, allow me to interject. According to Governor Sakaja, when he appeared before a Senate committee to interrogate this issue, he did make it clear, or rather he did defend himself by saying that Article 187 or 189 of the Constitution has not been affected because no functions whatsoever have been transferred to the national government. Rather, it's it's more or less of a working cooperation just to make things work better.
The
as you
idea
say.
is like to make the city more functional
Yeah.
than it, like, it's functioning ish now, but apparently they want to make it function much more efficiently.
Analogy accepted. You're married and you live in your own home with your wife. Then you allow your wife to go to the bedroom or your father, then you say, there's we have not actually changed anything, isn't it? Come on, This is what is happening. It's like saying that your wife is now living with your father, but your marriage is still intact. It's not possible. Because look at where do people spend 80 billion shillings when it's just a by the way? Is this a by the way? 80 billion shillings? Where is this money coming from? Is it money coming from on-source revenue from the county government? Or is money coming from the national government? Where is oversight? Is Parliament oversighting this money or Senate? William, I'm telling you, structurally there's something wrong there. Because, for example, the 80 billion that is part of the issue, for example, the garbage collection, isn't it? There's Minister for Sanitation, national government, isn't it? There's a CC for Sanitation, county government. Who is responsible? This thing is bigger than we think. As far as I'm concerned, when is it allowed by the Constitution, the Article 187 we are talking about? When is it allowed? One, this brings a lot of confusion. You only hand over what can be done better by a national government if you are handing over. That's one principle in the Constitution, not me saying. That you only hand over to the receiving government receives what they can do better. The question is, do you know any one thing the national government has done well at all? Anything?
Is there any one thing that the national government has done better?
Gunizi.
No. There's nothing they have done well. As far as I'm concerned, I know people mention affordable housing, but corruption in affordable housing, the money for house levy is being spent to build a market. You understand? If you go to the building of Maurironi Road, 200 billion is being used to build 174-kilometer road, meaning that 1.4 billion per kilometer. I've never seen anything like that in the world, where 1.4 billion per... I don't understand. Then they talk about creation of jobs to youth. They say they have created 344,000 jobs since 2022 to now. If you go to Kenya Bureau of Statistics, only 75,600 jobs have been created since 2022 to now, and those are some of them from private sector. So all these things you hear all about is a lie. Then the other thing, Nyota Fund. I'm just mentioning what they think they're doing well. Whatever they're saying they're doing well, they're not doing well because... Just give me, William, this chance to explain. Nyota Fund, if you got the Twitter handle of Hussein Mohammed, or one of State House, he says that on 16th of January, go to that Twitter handle, he says that they have disbursed money to 58,000 youths in 26 counties. If you divide 58,000 by 26 counties, means that every county has been disbursed 2,400 youths, isn't it? And those are youths forming companies to do business, which means in your county, there are 2,400 companies that can employ you. Can we have unemployment in Kenya like that? What I'm trying to say is that the national government has been scamming, and by taking these things, they can only do one thing, to scam. So if they have been performing poorly in their own duties and they are overwhelmed, isn't it? And one time, William, remember, the president said in live camera, hii kaji inachosha. Alisema, this job is tiring. He said it, isn't it? Now he's adding himself another county. And what I'm trying to say here is that let us ask the bigger question, William, without going into...
So what is the bigger question?
The bigger question is, Nairobi, asked very well, Nairobi is a home to UNEP, isn't it? Is a home to multinationals, isn't it? What was the best thing to have been done? What could have been the fathers of the Constitution have done? And you told me I'm traveled, now I'll use my overseas knowledge. If you go to New York, do you know why we came with Washington, D.C.? Do you know Washington, the founding father of the US, was from New York? When he went to Washington, D.C., he found that if he was supposed to accept to put the capital city either in Virginia or Maryland, it could have been he's being hosted by another state. So they hived off land from Maryland and Virginia and created Washington, D.C. is not in any state in the U.S. Among the 55 states, it is in no state. So it's on its own. If you go to the Capitol, you go to White House. White House is not in any of the 55 states in the U.S. So for us, we are finding ourselves to have a capital city for the national government, and also we have a capital for the county government, and there's a confusion between State House and City Hall.
City Hall.
They could have found no man's land. Like now, when I become president, William, do you know what I'll do? I'll convert State House into a museum, into Innovation Center, because State House is 740 acres.
Okay.
And take this thing to somewhere else, because there is no need of living in such a place. As far as I'm concerned, the confusion between county government and national government is not a story for now.
Yeah.
Remember last time, there's a time when Kidero was the governor of Nairobi and the president was not from his party. Those rifts were always there.
Prof, it's good you're preempting even my next question, because
Yes.
we were veering off a little bit. But for context, I want to read through Article 187 because we keep mentioning it.
Yeah.
Article 187 of the Constitution of Kenya, also to the benefit of our viewer and listener. And it states that 187.1, a function or power of government at one level may be transferred to a government at another level by agreement between the governments if A, the function or power will be more effectively performed or exercised by receiving government, and B, the transfer of the function or power is prohibited by the legislation under which is to be performed or exercised. Let us put our focus on A. And I'll ask this. We were having, before going on air, a discussion with Justine. In the formation of devolved units, should even Nairobi have existed? Should have Nairobi become a devolved unit? And my other question in relation to that, if you take note of 187.1A, then does it mean that the Sakaja-led government has failed in terms of garbage collection, has failed in matters of water and sewerage, has failed in matters of street lighting? Has it failed in all that to the point that it needs the national government in a quote-unquote corporation to make these things work?
And just to add on to it, is this like some form of overreach from the national government so that they can benefit from the chaos of the county?
Actually, if you ask me, I was asking myself, has the president broken the constitution by signing this with Sakaja? Because the president is the head of state. The president should know more or better than him. Because remember, they are both in UDA. The president is from UDA.
Yeah.
The governor is from UDA. Remember the questions about whether he qualified to run were also there before, isn't it? And you know who defended him, who helped him actually to cross that line without those certificates. And this is also on record. So whether he broke the law is that did he follow strictly the procedure of Article 187? Did the Parliament and Senate, because that's required, the Parliament and Senate must approve, because what I'm saying, if you transfer function, transfer money. And that is the Constitution. You cannot transfer me functions without money. That's why when functions were transferred to the county government, even money was transferred.
Mm-hmm.
So now that functions have been transferred, has money been transferred? And that money, if county government of Nairobi continue receiving a certain amount of money, which was allocated by the budget, and they have transferred the function to State House, and State House said, we are going to give you 80 billion. So where is he taking the money which these functions were meant for at the county level? So according to me, if you don't see this conflict, maybe you choose not to see. But for me, I can see it clearly. So was the public participation done? It's a requirement in that Article 187.
Yeah, I had the argument in
Isn't
the
it?
Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And was this voluntary? Remember, let's go back. When Raila Odinga was alive, there was this thing that Raila and Ruto saved the governor, isn't it? So is this now time by saying, okay, now Raila is not there, isn't it? Who can save you? Because Raila is one who saved him. So is Sakaja able to confess on camera that he freely entered this relationship, isn't it, without being coerced? So these are questions only him can answer. But the president knows better because he has the intelligence, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, he came with something called Barrafs. You know Barrafs? The city Barrafs. He was trying to take the project, the way it's done in the US. Barrafs was supposed to be cut Nairobi into Barrafs and then now manage from there. That has not been implemented. Now he's handing over some functions to State House. Now, truth be said, do you know any one thing that the governor of Nairobi did, even as a senator, that you can say, tick to him he did? We are electing people in office who have never done anything apart from campaigning. You know, campaigning well is not a qualification for office. But we're only looking who was the most entertaining person, who danced better, who was dressing better. And then you give them, they have never done anything anywhere right. So as far as I'm concerned, failures are everywhere. And these failures could be the reason. But look at it from here. Have you heard why the garbage collection has developed in Nairobi? I've heard people complaining, so the MCAs were complaining, that Sakaja transferred his office from City Hall to a place called Shakahola. You know Shakahola? He has an office on River Road, which it has been named by MCAs Shakahola. So someone who is operating from Shakahola, and you know what Shakahola did to Kenyans, isn't it? Is that person competent to deliver anything? So as far as I'm concerned, he is trying to hide his failure under the president, but the president taking advantage of it because we are being told that it is the president's men who collect garbage in Nairobi.
I hear you, Prof. But
And for
how then?
For me,
Prof,
the most fundamental thing is...
Prof, I hear you.
Yeah.
But how then can the situation be managed in Nairobi? You have mentioned the issues bedeviling Nairobi County.
Yeah.
And what you're saying, or what I'm understanding from what you're saying, the cooperation between Sakaja and Ruto was not the best. Then how best?
Let me tell you, as LDP presidential aspirant, how we look at how we want to do governance. Like now, one of the person running for governor under LDP Nyandarua is a technocrat, someone who has even done something that people can talk about. You understand? Now, Nairobians, your problems are you who has created. You are experimenting too much, isn't it? Imagine you elected Sonko. Imagine Nairobians. And after electing Sonko, we never learned anything. Then you brought Sakaja. First of all, it starts with us. Sakaja is a true representation, whether you like it or not, how we Nairobians think. Let us not throw hands at anybody. And I'm trying to say from all levels of government.
You're throwing the ball back to the election.
Yes, because we see what's happening. Some of them were electing him for some very funny reasons I heard in media. Why was Sakaja more popular than Polycarp Thigade? Polycarp Thigade was running Vivo Energy, isn't it? He's been CEO of Vivo Energy. Polycarp Thigade had been my student, you understand? I don't know where Sakaja went to school because he was struggling to prove he went to a school, isn't it? And here we're electing, and I can tell you even, William, just to give you what might happen in 2027, we are also likely to elect somebody who has no qualification to run. I know one who is very popular in Nairobi, and I won't mention the name, but he got an E in high school, but in the website in Parliament, he has a degree from another university. So tell me the path from E to a degree. There's no path. I'm an academic director for a long time. I've been an academic director for long in a university. Anybody who gets a D in E, has no path. Now we are going back there. Citizens.
What is the solution for Nairobians?
I'm saying Nairobians
at the moment
go and elect someone who can run Nairobi. But for me,
But what of between 2026 and 2027?
Yeah.
How best
for
can the
now,
situation be
the
for
best
them?
thing to do is that we are looking for how to go to court, isn't it?
Yeah.
And look for how these provisions can be violated, isn't it? And then we might need to find a way to decentralize Nairobi. You know, Nairobi is the economic capital center, the financial center, is the political center, It is the capital health center. Do you know, William, if, for example, you talk about a bomb being thrown in Iran, if you want to finish Nairobians, throw a bomb in Upper Hill. There's Upper Hill, the headquarter of healthcare in Kenya. Nairobi Hospital, isn't it? KNH, name it. If you throw a bomb in Upper Hill,
Okay.
we are done.
Okay.
We need to find a way to decongest Nairobi. We need to find a way to decentralize Nairobi. And then we need to have a capital city, probably maybe out of Nairobi.
Okay, fair enough. Let's further the discussion. And what we're seeing now is not new. It's not. It's something that we have witnessed before, and that is during Governor Sonko's tenure. We saw NMS coming in, and also some responsibilities were given to NMS. But I would like to pick your mind on this. Is it different, the NMS and this cooperation between Sakaja and Ruto? How different is it?
NMS was effective in some ways. There are some things they did. Who destroyed NMS? Because NMS was good in revenue collection. There was transparency in revenue collection. We are running a government of chronism. You know what chronism is? Chronism as an economic model is the opposite of Solomonic economics, which I'm an author. You understand? Chronism is whereby procurement, ways how people make money, are used to benefit the cronies, the few people, while you ignore everybody else. Sorry that we are in this age, but I thank God for the current Pope, Pope Leo the 14th. He's written, the first book he's written is called Dissect.
Yeah.
Dissect in Latin means I have always loved you. And it talks about love for the poor, that exalting the love for the poor is very important. In Kenya, we worship the rich, isn't it? And we hate the poor. All these decisions are being made. Why do we have Kibra right in the CBD? You hear me? People, things like Mkuru kwa Njenga, Mkuru kwa Ruben, all these slums. These slums don't exist because these people are poor. These are structural decisions which are keeping people poor. Like now, have you heard that they are now demolishing people's houses in Landimawe to build affordable housing, and there's no land there, isn't it? While one person occupies 440 acres in his residence called State House. Are you seeing this contrast? Why do you think that some people living very well in Lavington here, while some people are just in squalors? You think that these are things because those people are stupid and they don't know they want a good place? So what I'm trying to say is that we want to find how can Nairobi serve the interest of the most disadvantaged people, of the poor people. Loving me because I wear a suit is not helpful. But if you love somebody who is walking barefoot and look for their interests, when decisions are being made in City Hall, William, do you think those guys think about the people in Kibra, people in Kuru kwa Njenga? Or they make decisions based in the best interest of those who are suited, those who live in Mudaiga, those who live in Karen? So decisions must be made in the best interest of those who are vulnerable. And according to me, at the moment, the questions are the decision to move this thing from county government to national government. Is it in the best interest of those who suffer from garbage, water issues, sanitation, sewage, the fires, isn't it, that are always in every market? No. It's about who can make money and become richer while those people remain poor. You were born in this city. Me, I grew up in Kibra, in Katwekera. The problems I saw as a young boy in Kibra, they are still there. Yet you are telling me what I'm saying is the same. No, what I'm saying is different because with the different things tried has not worked because no one meant it. We want leadership that cares wholeheartedly for the poor. And decisions being made has kept Kibra to be Kibra. Even there was a very prominent person who was an MP covering Kibra, isn't it? And he's a very big hero. I'm sure you hero worship him, isn't it? But the poverty they leave behind cannot give anybody a legacy. So as far as I'm concerned, Nairobi just needs somebody who will change it. We work on infrastructure. You know, William, as an economist, there's a difference between infrastructure and superstructure. Infrastructure is building road or building for the sake of having them. The superstructure is what is happening inside the building. Like I can give an example. When I bought my first house here in Lavington, I bought it offline. So, oh, this is your house. I was excited. And I was not married. I had no kids. I was very young. So I was just naive. Oh, there's a kitchen here. I didn't know which kind of kitchen I needed because I never thought about it. I never had a wife, so I never imagined how this kitchen can be good for a woman. I never thought about how the rooms for kids could serve me. I was just, oh, this one room, bedroom number one, number two. When I moved into that, I discovered, okay, this house cannot operate. So before we build infrastructure, are we thinking about the lives of the people inside there? How will they live? How will they go to bed? How will they go for a shower? How will they walk around? Now we are building Maurironi Road. We are building I don't know what. Are we thinking, we're building markets, but are we thinking about how those people are going to sell their wares? We will build affordable housing inside the slums. Are we thinking about the lives inside there? So the thinking around it, according to me, has not been fresh. We are only concerned about procurement. Who will build it? Who will earn the money? Who will get the cut? But I don't think about now, after you build and live, how is life inside there? As far as I'm concerned, the leadership we need in Nairobi should be a paradigm shift.
Okay.
Nairobi needs a disruption. Nairobi is one of the most respected cities in Africa, but we don't respect Nairobi.
Okay, Prof, you've made your point. But again, if you look at Nairobi, it gets an equitable share of around 20 billion from the national government. Also, revenue the last financial year was around 13 billion. This is close to 30 something plus.
35 billion.
35 billion. Then does it need the 80 billion from the national government, or with the prudent management, this money can be well utilized? Yes.
Can I just like push back a little bit on, I do understand what Prof was saying about the superstructure of how you think about the people who live and work in this city. And I think personally, I believe Nairobi does not build for the underclass. And a good example is the expressway. If you look at the way the expressway is built, like if you are an first-time visitor in Nairobi and say you're going to some hotel in Westlands, if you get out of the airport at night, you will not see anything because it's all dark. Some parts of the city don't even have electricity. And then you will drive straight, say, to Westlands if you're going to a very expensive hotel, and you will not interact with anyone who uses the lower part of the expressway. So it's literally a visible line between the upper part of society and the lower part of society, which is ironic because the expressway itself is a loss-making venture. And then the other thing that really, the thing that throws me off is as much as we want to have a city with a functioning administration, there's something that you mentioned earlier about Nairobians needing to fix this thing themselves, but also at the same time, it's a predatory cycle where people who do not have the resources, people who have been made to believe they either do not have the power or are not respected, are the same people who are supposed to elect the very governance structure that's supposed to see them and fix the things that they care about. So I personally feel there's a disconnect in how we expect the very marginalized to figure it out while also maintaining the hub of East Africa or whatever we want to call this. We want to call this city. And then additionally, on top of that, so this is just to take it back to the professor. So we've seen a lot of it's like, I'll call it the tenderification of Nairobi, where we have, I think as soon as the cooperation deal was announced, 2 days later, if I'm not wrong, there's a Ghanaian farm that is supposed to take over collection of garbage in the county for 25 years. This, I think Mombasa already signed a deal with this particular company. And the thing that I keep wondering is what layer, what administrative job does the county government then do if the environmental CS does not know their way around how to clean Nairobi River or work in coordination with the county government to clean Nairobi River and also just to clean the city in general, enough for someone from a whole other country who's also been flagged for malpractice to come and clean the city?
No, Justin,
Yeah,
you don't understand what happens normally. Let me just tell you this. I give you one example. You know the expressway?
Yes.
Kenha gave a contract to Chinese Bridge and Road to build the expressway. They also got a contract to supply sand. The Chinese company getting a contract to supply what? Sand. What did he do? They don't know where sand is in Kenya. So what they do, they subcontract you and give you a very bad deal where you are barely surviving. So the Kenyans who have lorries and trucks go get sand from Machakos and bring, the main contract is given to the Chinese company. Their margin is 600% profit. You understand? But your margin is 20%. So if you have a bad luck and a tire burst, you're in losses. I'm telling you, in our LDP prototype, we call it economic prototype, we said Kenya must be built by Kenyans using Kenyan resources all the time. Because what will the Ghanaian will come? The Ghanaian will bring trucks from Ghana to carry garbage. No, they'll get a Kenyan who has trucks, isn't it? Will carry the garbage on their behalf, will be subcontracted because they don't even know the road. Does the Ghanaian know where Uhuru Highway is? Do they know how they can come inside Lavington, Kilimani and pick those luggage here? Can they pick garbage in Kibra? They can't. They'll get you, give you a very bad deal that you are barely surviving. That's why the people who pick garbage in Nairobi, they just look like chokora. Because the money being paid to their boss, they barely can survive. Sometimes I look at them and I feel so pity for myself. When I leave my house in Lavington, you find these people around 3 a.m. They are picking this because they don't want to be seen even during daytime. Why? Because the person eating well is eating well up there. But now their boss has been a very bad contract. So the issue is they're going to subcontract those things. I'm happy as a young person, Justin. I think you can see this, and that generation will change Kenya. So secondly, William, corruption is a social problem. And it creates a vicious cycle. You know, we were told at independence our problem was ignorance, poverty, and disease, isn't it? So when they steal money from the economy, you get more ignorance because the schools have no teachers, isn't it? The school has no books, have no resources. So the more ignorant you are, again, they can steal from you. So we need to disrupt this country. I'm sorry that this is what I'm going to do. This country must be disrupted. The system must be disrupted to bring it back. I'm going to do it for you. Mark my word. We have a plan to do that. Because what I'm trying to say here is, since independence, the first president was produced by the system, the Kenyatta. When Jaramogi said, Hakuna Uhuru bila Kenyatta, that was the system speaking.
Yeah.
Then Moi was produced by the system. Kibaki, produced by the system. Uhuru the same. Now Ruto is the same. So when you produce a president by the system, they work for the system. You need a Kenyan who is a Kenyan project who will work for Kenyans. Before we do that, this system will not be. But I want to also go and tell you one thing which is very key to us because you're asking for ideas to change. We are working on what's called democratize the economy, decentralized economy, decentralized investment, and decentralized financial system. I won't go in details because many people are hearing, don't talk too much about your strategy. This is the disruptor. Because before you empower these people, they will not have the know-how to be able to. That's why even in the church we said, if you don't read the Bible, you won't know the word. If you know the word, you can't be saved. So there must be some salvation from the bottom. If we don't do that, Nairobians will remain who they are. But Nairobians are not stupid, by the way. People go for self-interest, which we have to put aside and look at the best interest of Nairobi. And just to finish your question about the 35 billion.
I was to remind you about that.
Mhm.
The 35 billion, let me tell you what, William. How much money is enough? You know, even if it becomes 50, it won't be enough. Even 80 is still not enough. The issue is, what do you want to do with the money? You can go for lunch and you find 5,000 shillings per lunch is not enough. But for us, we used to eat lunch with 200 shillings mandondo, and you're full. But you can go to Serena, they can give you, for example, fish fillet with some chips. And by the time you leave the gate, you still want to eat something. Like, you know, for us who grew up with ugali. So what I'm trying to say is that it is the use of that money. Where are the priorities of Nairobi? Do you know what? If you look at the priorities of Nairobi, I done my calculation. Maximum 14 billion is enough to run Nairobi.
14 billion?
Yes. We are going to take a case to court soon. I'll prove to you how people in government, isn't it, do things, then they call a lawyer to challenge what they are challenging, then they challenge money to the lawyers and make money in legal fees. Did you not see that in 1 year, the governor of Nairobi spent 3 to 4 billion shillings in legal cases? Why? So what happens is that, Justine, what you do is that you bring a project, you bring it out, and you have already told me that I will challenge it, isn't it? Then you are a lawyer in the panel of the county government, isn't it? So you will be earning money by challenging somebody who takes petition to court. You get me? And then we wire 300 million to you for representing the governor in court, isn't it? Then you give the governor 200 million. Maybe you and a few people share the other 100 million. This is what is happening. Okay. That money is scammed. Justina, what is happening in Nairobi that we need to spend 3 billion in legal? What is that? Is it a crime scene? So what I'm trying to say is that it is the priority. It's about accountability. It's about stewardship. It's about ethics. What do you believe in? How much money is enough for you? I'm sure if even still 1 year, because 35 billion has been there now, maybe the governor of Nairobi has seen it 3 times, isn't it? Why don't you pick the first year, then you start working, if you must?
Okay. Fair enough. But, Prof, chapo madondo ya 200?
Even less.
Mlikuwa na kakitu.
No, but I'm saying...
No, I'm talking about, you said...
When I was working for housing finance, as a banker, I began working as a banker in housing finance. I used to cross over to River Road. River Road, they are slightly expensive. But if you come huku mtaa, you can get for 50, 25. But in town, River Road, they are more expensive because they give you what they call sosa. There's ugali sosa on top.
Prof, mlikuwa mnagongwa. Anyway.
Yeah.
Mlikuwa mnagongwa. Anyway, now, currently there is a petition in courts to challenge the constitutionality of the Ruto Sakaja parks. Is this the only way forward for the people of Nairobi in relation to this corporation? And also there was some talk in town about impeachment of Sakaja. I mean, legally, what is the way forward for people in Nairobi?
You know, I've told you, to the much I know, you could find that this has nothing to do with actually sharing these roles. You know, for example, if this case goes to court, you understand me? Sakaja has got an office with a budget of lawyers to represent him. And they are going to charge fees that you have never seen. How can responding to a petition in court, you write a fee note of 200 million? What are you, like, I don't know, how do these lawyers write? What are these letters? They are written in gold or they're written in diamond? I don't know which letter, each letter is diamond. So you charge 300 million. These things are all to make money for the government. Go and check, William, how much Attorney General's office has spent on legal cases this year. You get me? 640 billion this year, because house levy challenged. Anything these people do, sometimes they do it intentionally because they have a panel. Justine, when I become president, it will be illegal for you to have a panel of lawyers who are pre-qualified by the governor, that they're the ones who represent you. Those are your relatives, those are your friends, cronies that make money. When you see sometimes someone driving a car like a V8 and you're saying, hey, this guy is doing well. No, that guy is a thief. Don't have pity on yourself. You are just a straightforward person. Some of these people, they live life that if you want to follow their path, you can't. Because can you imagine that uchumi ni mbaya hivi, na unaona mtu anaenda showroom and he comes off with a car worth 50 million. No, seriously speaking, William, Mimi, we are stupid. How much do you need to earn per month to go to a showroom and come out with a 50 million car? And they do it. So as far as I'm concerned, all these things, legal cases is not a solution. The solution is this, William. Do we have a steward in charge of our resources? And if Kenyans don't find a steward, we'll come back here again 2027 and discuss this same thing. Because I've told you, there's a vicious cycle. You steal from people, they become more stupid, they become more poor, they become more sick, so they are desperate. You throw again small thing at them, then they re-elect you. And the more they re-elect you, the more they get poorer, they get more sick, and they get more stupid. Because if you went to a school like Alliance, if all Kenyans could afford Alliance, or could afford a good school like, let's say, Cabernet Boys, isn't it? Or Kabarak, isn't it? Do you know how well we could be analyzing each leader? But a few people attend those high schools, which are well, isn't it? They are knowledgeable, and because they are squeezed, they are desperate for money, because when you have a good suit like me, you don't want to sleep hungry, so you can be compromised. William, do you know why I don't have a job in Strathmore? Because I was asked to recant my statement that the economy was being run. When I said, my boss, no. The economy is being run poorly. And I will keep that. They told me, okay, if you don't wait in 24 hours, you will be fired. I got fired, and I walked away from Strathmore. You get me?
Okay.
Because I believe that I cannot bend, and I see evil ruling just because of my stomach. How many people are willing to sacrifice their stomach for the truth? And because they are very few, because some of them have no option, they are dying of hunger now. So even if you throw something at them, they'll take. You get me?
Yes.
And the social problem is that it's a vicious cycle. The more it's taken away from you, the more desperate you are. And then the more desperate, actually, you're going to vote. So if Kenyans are not wise, they might be desperate again 2027. What's the solution, Justine? Let us fast one night and be fed for 5 years. Or let us eat that one night and we shall be hungry for another 5 years. For me, the choice is yours.
Okay, Prof. Okay, Prof. Unfortunately, mnajua Waswahili wanasemaje? Kilicho na mwanzo.
Lazima kiwe na mwisho.
But before we wrap things up, Prof, I want to give you an opportunity because in between the conversation na Justin umekuwa ukisikia nikikuwa president, chama yangu. Maybe Prof, I know you have come today on a different hat. Maybe you can briefly tell us about your other cap that you wear.
Yeah, reviewers, I'm Fred Ogola. I'm a Kenyan.
This is your camera.
I'm the LDP presidential aspirant. We believe that LDP being run by technocrats, we don't entertain democracy. We just entertain technocracy. And we go more for meritocracy as opposed to oligarchy. Meritocracy is whereby your talent, your hard work, your skill should take you up, not your connection, your popularity, or anything else. So with these values, we believe that we are the solution to transform Kenya. We don't want to say we are alternative leadership, but we believe we espouse what Kenya really wants. And should you be able to appoint us to run the government, you won't be disappointed. I think there's not much to say about it because many Kenyans know that is the way forward.
Okay.
And should they buy this idea, then that's where the solution for Kenya is.
I hear you.
And I can tell Kenyans that don't be afraid. We are going to disrupt because the Kenyan problem is economic. Only economic missile can succeed against this system. And we're going to throw economic missile into the system that the system will be so dismantled that we can be able now to lead from there. Not political missile, because political missile, the guy sitting in that office is a professor of politics because he's learned from the best. He's been produced by the professor of politics, which you know. So because of that, he's so we're going to go where he's weak. We'll use our strength, which is economics. Let him use his strength in politics. And I can tell you, economy will build politics on any day.
All right. Umesikia hayo maneno.
Nimesikia hayo maneno.
Before I bring you in, Justine, Prof, there's a question here for you. And also, from wherever you're watching us from, you still have an opportunity to send your questions, feedback on all our social media platforms where we are streaming this particular episode. Don't shy away. Tuma tu your swali. We will ask the Prof before we close the show a few minutes to come. But Prof, there is already a question here from my Netflix, H7Q. That's the name. But the question is all that matters, yeah?
Yes.
And he does ask, does the professor think that our biggest issue is lack of technocrats in power or technocrats without ethics and values?
Well, absolutely, he's right, because it's not just about technocrats, but it's about values. That's like I say the parallel between technocrats and tomocrats. Many Kenyans are actually technocrats, but they have never used their knowledge or even education in the best interest of their country. And anyway, Netflix, you can say what you want, but I was a professor at Strathmore for 17 years, isn't it? The only reason I left Strathmore is I said bottom up will destroy this economy. And I was asked to recant, and I didn't recant, and I'm out here for 3 years down the line. How many people can do that? So it is you to judge.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Prof, for that. Now, before we close the show, Prof, there are two things that we traditionally do.
Yes.
One will not happen today because I'm not the day in, day out host of the show. It's a segment run by my colleague Tom Mukwana called Serikali Wants to Hear From You. But that is not going to happen this week until he comes back.
Yes.
So hopefully next week we'll be having Tom to do the Serikali Wants to Hear From You. But there is another segment run by Justine in a very bad and horrible way.
Okay.
So I'm going to yield the floor to Justine to do her thing.
Okay.
Asante sana, William. So today, we're starting from home and away passport holders. Last week was a very big week for the spirit of Pan-African criminals, as details emerged that the RSF commander's younger brother, Mohammed Hamdan, was a holder of a Kenyan passport.
Right, we'll go straight to a top story. These are tonight. Questions swirl around Kenya's immigration system after revelations that a top Sudanese war financier, Algoni Hamdan Dagalo Musa, obtained a Kenyan passport despite being under heavy international sanctions.
On the list of these passport awardees, as shared by Boniface Mwangi, were extended family members, because a family that benefits from wars together, they get new citizenship together. In the spirit of Oprah, you get a passport, you get a passport. Everyone, every foreigner with Ikulu ties gets a passport, even Zimbabwean businessman. And as the State House occupies bestie, who was flagged for election malpractice in Zim, Wicknell Chivayo, made it on that list.
Also included on that list is controversial flamboyant Zimbabwean businessman and socialite Wicknell Munodani Chivayo, named at the center of massive graft probe in Zimbabwe.
So many were wondering just how someone like in the waiting room of the passport, waiting for your passport to come out, how did they get their biometrics taken?
Reveal over 20 Sudanese nationals were naturalized as Kenya passport holders by passing normal biometric checks by sending photos directly to immigration officials. Some applications containing glaring inconsistencies, including adult photos attached to minors' files and false addresses.
They bypassed these checks meant for simple rule followers like you and I by just sending their photos, even some of their best selfies, directly to the immigration services. Some even had their passports processed on Valentine's Day because GOK's Cupid's arrow is always pointed at some criminality. Kenyans are outside those immigration offices, time traveling to cyber cafes like it's 2001, being asked for fingerprints and proof of concept of being a real Kenyan person, while these families are just WhatsApping their details. This just proves that if the government wanted to, it would make things work, unlike the steering dimples of Nairobi's leadership. So we always think about Pan-Africanism being very difficult. It's a very difficult journey. But GOK keeps proving that if you come to them with skeletons in your closet, they will enter that closet with you and even make room for your family. The head of the Immigration Services, Evelyn Cheluget, is implicated in this registration of genocideers, and which is happening in her docket, and it raises a lot of questions about how this was done and how many more are just out there wandering free and get these very documents that Kenyan fight so hard for. This isn't the first time she's allegedly linked into the shady matters, because during the Artur scandal, she proved that whatever foreigners want, they shall get. So Kenyan citizens are struggling to get IDs. You can check out our episode from The Big Picture last week. And we've seen how border communities have to travel in search of water, pasture, and a mirage of broken citizenship to prove themselves to a citizenship panel, but foreigners doing numbers in the criminal charts were fully issued with passports so they can be free to globetrot. Anyway, good luck, Kenyans. You've already dropped so far down the ladder on the corruption charts, so what are a few more steps into hell? Because we are already there. And speaking of hell, we are all the way from Russia with war scams. So hundreds of Kenyans have been lured into the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, leaving their families in a lot of distress as they receive reports of their deaths on the battlefield. Being a Kenyan means that you are at war at home and also away for your dignity and your own life.
Hundreds of Kenyans have been lured to the ongoing Ukraine-Russian war, leaving families in distress following reports of deaths in the battlefield.
A report by Citizen revealed that there are many inside networks involving government officials from the Department of Defense, the Immigration Services, DCI, and the Ministry of Labor, all joining hands to send Kenyans to the unsafest regions in the world.
Tonight, we expose the inside networks, how government officials from the Department of Defense, Immigration, DCI, and the Ministry of Labor have been aiding the export of Kenyans to the Russian war.
So I've never seen Kenyan security agencies this coordinated since the Great Maandamano gathering of 2024. Every stop to recruit Kenyans into the refrigeration zones of Russia had a prize, with labor officials demanding 5,000 Kenyan shillings per person, DCI officers asking for 20,000 Kenyan shillings per person, and immigration officials demanding 50,000 Kenyan shillings per person. Cumulatively, your shipping costs as a Kenyan to go fight in a war abroad is 75,000 Kenyan shillings across ministries. It's not even six figures, you guys. Like, they could have at least adjusted it for inflation, like apartments in Kilimani, you know. So while some of the recruits were fully aware and they consented to go to combat, others had no idea because they had gotten tourist visas and ended up on the front lines. Imagine taking a tourist visa and the first monument you see is a Ukraine drone connecting you to your ancestral realm. So some of the recruits who consented were trained by being shown videos of combat. Not an actual war, just like videos. So war cannot be prepped through this meeting. You know, this meeting could have been an email that the Kenyan government has going on. So Kenyans who were sent there were depending on a Zoom meeting to learn hand-to-drone combat, which is, I don't know how that was supposed to work out, but that's terrifying for anyone. So the safety of Kenyans is at stake. And even though our lives have been cheaply valued at 75,000 Kenyan shillings, we deserve a government that defends all of us, no matter the cost. And onto some egregious prices, because this is something I was thinking about earlier. This story is about how mayai ni waziri wa msoto. The price of poultry eggs, especially if you love eggs, is up by 20%. Bachelor pads in Nairobi could be targeted for wealth hoarding if the prices stay this expensive. So this is due to the high poultry feed prices in the market. A tray of eggs used to cost about 450 shillings. It's up to 480. Local shops are selling a single egg at the former price of a smoky. One egg used to cost 19 shillings. It's up to one egg could cost 19 shillings to 25 shillings, depending on the agricultural struggles of your neighborhoods. So if you shop at major supermarkets, a tray could go between 575 shillings and 604 shillings. Supermarket buyers are really flexing their willingness to be exploited, because buying a tray at 600 shillings when you can negotiate for a chicken and feed it in your mansion is it's just bad economics. I'm sorry. And this year, the 3 horse foods of survival, if you're a person standing out, unlike Prof, ugali, eggs, and cabbage have joined their collective power. They've understood their power in every household, and they've understood their worth against Kenyans struggling with the cost of living. So if you are there comfortably dining on all 3, your personal GDP could pay off part of this country's debt. And congratulations to you. And remember, Kenyans, as you navigate the difficulties of your day-to-day lives, GOK has valued your life at 124 trays of eggs. So don't put yourselves in one basket. And lastly, we also, crude oil is good oil, as the energy CS Wandai, and he has that resting tired lecturer face, was asked critical questions about our energy sector, and his answers are what you would give after you freestyled an exam pre-chat GPT.
What type of oil is it? Just for...
It's crude oil. This is crude oil. Yes.
All oil that comes from the earth is crude.
Yes, this is crude oil, yes.
Yes, but what type of oil is it, and how does it compare with, what is out there?
What is important, and this I'm saying as an untechnical person, is that from the early oil program, which happened some years back, and which produced some oil that was then exported, it was established from the market that it is good quality oil.
So he wasn't sure what oil is being drilled in the country, because maybe he thought being the energy CS is about the power you use to perform a cesarean section. So I'm not sure if the CS is aware, but Iran supplies about 5% of global oil, and the war Israel and the US have launched against them puts the Kenyan energy sector in crisis. The Strait of Hormuz has been blocked, which could raise crude oil prices by 20%, and Kenya's G2G deal could be the own goal of the century. This could affect the cost of everything in the country, including transport and food. So if you have eggs in your house right now, welcome to the Millionaires Club. Nimemaliza. Tu kuambia Prof, kuna clips zinacheza, so I think that's why there was a little bit of a disconnect.
You're doing a good job, but in a bad way.
Love that contributes.
I couldn't hold myself from laughing and making little giggles. Good job, though.
You know, people, when I was campaigning to become the MP of Uganda in 2022,
Yeah.
people used to call up Yawanda intellectual. I used to say, really? Intellectual? Intellectual is a serious term, eh?
Yeah.
You don't refer to such a person intellectual. You see, that thing has killed that title. That Yvonne Okwaro interview.
But you've also received some stray there.
Where?
Tired lecturer's face.
Lazima wachoke. You didn't see the interview was very, at least Prof is making eye contact and making his point. The entire interview was mostly trying to find the ground.
Anyway, guys, we have to call it a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making time for us. Maybe your final remarks, closing remarks in just 30 seconds, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I would like to say is that let's put the national interest of Kenya first, and let us respect the sovereign will of the people whenever we make every decision, because if there's anything which is divine, it is the sovereign will of the people because given by God. God bless you and God bless Kenya.
Awesome. Oh, brilliant, Justine.
Sad nitaenda after God bless Kenya. Watch you.
Thank you so much. That has been Professor Ogola Fred, Justine, and I. And that has been another episode of The Big Picture discussing matters Nairobi. Thank you for your invaluable company, and to each and everyone who made this broadcast a success, and to you for listening and watching through this particular episode. Until next time, have a lovely time. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Healthcare in Kenya is complex.
A hospital can set aside 100,000 shillings aimed at meeting 10 ambulance providers.
Nilipojifungua huyo mtoto nikaona kuna shida, walikuwa wanajua si Kenyatta wanaenda. Tulijipata isimu hospitali inaitwa Abia.
Are you part of the team? Maybe.
Which team?
Of misleading patients?
No.
After 14 days ndio tunaambiwa tunafaa kulipa. Imefika 1 million. Tumaliza 1 week. Tulitoa bili ya 1.3 million. Akasema malipo iko ya aina nyingi. Tunaweza andikiana title ama tuandikiane logbook ya gari ya V8.
It is the outcome of human beings. Lack of appreciation.